You know what that noise is? That's the sound of a brand new box of Girl Scout cookies being opened up. Because it's Girl Scout season. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Art of the Hustler podcast. I am Adam, and I'm here to talk about business and hustling and entrepreneurship and money making and family stuff and weed and everything else in between, I guess. It's been a while. It's been a few days. I know it's been a long time, and I was trying to do this every day, but then life got really fucking chaotic for me. If you've been following me on Instagram, I had to kind of space out and jump out down to Puerto Rico for a bit, and then Colorado, and then back to here. I did kind of a really quick fucking tour and get a lot done in no time. So I just did not have time to record anything. I know that's a lame excuse, and I wouldn't accept it, but that's my excuse. It's tough shit. So just kind of give you guys a little bit of recap as to what's been going on in my last week of my life. Last week, I flew down to Puerto Rico for a couple days. Had some business meetings for my cannabis company, Caribbean Green. So had some really good talks actually about some stuff going on down there. Man, I wish there were some things I could tell you about, but they're underground, so I'm not allowed to. But man, the world is a fun place. Let's just say that. But while down there, I was kicking off two of the brands that I created. The Encanto brand, which is going to be my low-end flower pre-packaged eighths and quarters. It's not, I wouldn't say it's low-end in the sense regards to what we normally put out as flower. Like normally it's just high pure-end top cola quality flower. But this one, we really wanted to hit what I call the dollar medalla crowd. If you're familiar with Puerto Rico, the local beer down there is called medalla. And you can get a medalla for $1 everywhere, like all gas stations, wherever you buy beer. And it's kind of a religion in the sense that if you sell a can of medalla for anything over $1, everyone will be pissed off at you. They'll boycott you. They'll be, it's just you will have zero locals showing up to your place. So the only place that ever sells medalla for more than $1 is a place where they're selling it to tourists, like hotels and and tourist bars and things like that. Now, I call this the dollar medalla theory. I'm not sure if I talked about it before, but who cares? I'm going to talk about it again anyway. Is because Puerto Ricans have this thing where they want to be able to pay $1 and walk away with whatever it is that they purchase. Like that dollar is a very fixed price point, and it's so strong. I mean, think about this. Like, let's just say, most people, I would say a lot of people would say, hey, I only want to pay $1 for a can of beer, or I only want to pay $1 for a can of Coke, or a bottle of Coke, or whatever. But that's never going to happen. Coke's like, nope, tough shit. You're going to pay $2. You're going to pay $1.50 or whatever it is for a 20-ounce bottle of Coke. I have no idea what it is in it right now. But I'll get back to that thing in a second. I'm starting to write notes so I can talk about things and kind of get back to my thought processes. So I'm just wrote the Coke theory down. Anyway, so the dollar medalla theory. Puerto Ricans only want to pay $1 for their can of medalla. And they're so steadfast about it that all other beverage makers have rebottled and repackaged their beverages to be $1. Think about this for a second. Puerto Rico, a little island where most people don't even know it even exists until now with the hurricane people do, but most people don't know where it is or who's there. How many people? It's an island of 3.5 million people, and 70 billion in debt. It's not really has no GDP pretty much whatsoever, and it's not really a market influencer by any stretch, but that dollar medalla thing is so strong that even Coca-Cola and Heineken and Coors and all those other people, they've shrunk the size of their bottles down so that they can sell a bottle at $1. Because they're not going to sell a 20-ounce bottle for $1 because they're not going to make the money that they need. The margins aren't there. So what they do, they made, I don't know what the ounces is, but it's a smaller plastic bottle to be $1. And Heineken has smaller green glass bottles, and Coors has small little cans. But they've all shrunk the size of everything to get it to that $1 price point so that people will have their $1 beverages. So I've known this for a while. I've been down there since about 2010, so I've been on and off for about a little over 8 years now down in Puerto Rico. So it's not a secret. I mean, everybody knows this. You ask anyone in Puerto Rico how much is a can of medalla, it's $1. Everyone knows it, right? So knowing that this is the mentality of the Puerto Ricans, I wanted to really cater a product that fit that mentality because it screams, even in the cannabis world, it's everyone knows that we have the best flower on the island, but they also know we're the most expensive, and that deters a large majority of the patients on the island. And I don't want to deter them. I want to have everybody. I want to have a product that meets everyone, but I don't want to reduce the quality of my flower to meet a larger demand, because to me the quality of our medicine is super important. And I don't want to just reduce the labor costs or anything like that. I don't want to underpay my employees. So how do I get to my quote dollar Madaya unquote product point? So what I came up with is a way to come up with a $20 eighth. Now what that's going to mean is someone can walk into any one of my dispensaries and they can take a single bill, which is $20, and get an eighth, which is 3.5 grams of medicinal cannabis. So the way I've done this is I've reduced my packaging costs dramatically. The flour that we're using are just all the lows, the mids and lows of our lower end brands, like something that, or not brands, but lower end strains. So we have like one strain is Johnny OG. It's really not the greatest, but it does well for certain types of things that people want. So we still have it, we still grow it, we still sell it, and people still buy it. But like the lows of Johnny OG that's testing at 14%, it's really not something I can sell at $20 a gram. It just makes no sense, because we sell our electric lemon G, or maybe our G13 haze. Those are hitting 25. We've hit up to, I think, up to 28%. That was our highest flour tested. Those were selling at $20 a gram. So how can I justify the same flour at 14% and the lows of that of all things at the same price? And I can't. So what I'm doing is I'm categorizing the different strains that we have based on the quality of the strain. And then the plant produces different quality buds based, from the top down. So the top colas they have the highest THC, highest terpene profiles, highest CBGs, CBNs, all that stuff. So all the cannabinoids are really more popular in the larger top colas, the bigger buds. So the smalls, or the mids, which are ones lower on the plant, they don't get enough light, they don't have enough, energy produced to produce bigger buds and things like that. So those are called lows. So what we're doing is we're going to take those and we're going to package those up. We're going to do pre-pack. That's another thing we don't do in our dispensaries. All our top flower, we don't pre-pack anything. It's all there available for everyone to smell and see and talk about, and really get the full experience of the cannabis before they make a purchase decision. I'm actually a big advocate. Someone told me this years ago, and ever since they told me, it's just stuck in my head, is that when you smell a specific flower, if you think it smells good, generally that high affects you well. And if you think it smells bad, or you're not interested in it, generally that high doesn't affect you as well. And when I have that mentality going into it and trying different flowers and strains, I've found it to be pretty much true. So that's why I'm a big advocate of letting people smell it first. You really get that impact. And also, I'll teach you guys, all the cannabis lovers out there, a little trick that I learned. You can tell if it's an indica or a sativa or hybrid, and how much of a hybrid in between, just by smelling it. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but I'm gonna. I mean, you might be able to do this other things. Hold on, let me try something. Yeah, it works. I've never done it. I just took a little smell of my Mike's Hard Lemonade here. But where you smell it inside your nose determines if it's an indica or sativa. So think about this for a second in relation to taste. On your tongue, your different taste buds in different locations on your tongue taste different things. So I feel like the sweets are just tasted by the tip of your tongue. The sours are tasted up by the edges on the either sides of your tongue. And salt, I think, is in the middle or something. I'm not sure. But like different tastes are tasted in different places on your tongue. Well, your nose works the same way. So an indica, you're going to smell it lower in your nose. You're going to smell it more in the nostril area. In a sativa, you're going to smell it more high up. Like a really strong sativa, you're going to smell really high up and more towards the bridge of your nose. And then a hybrid is anywhere in between. So take a minute. First realizing, how old am I? I'm 38 years old. And I think it was only a couple of years ago I learned this myself. That all of a sudden I smell in different places of my nose was a huge realization in itself. But take a minute, go find something that's got a nice aroma to it and smell it, and you'll feel that you're smelling it in a certain area on your nose. It's pretty trippy. But for cannabis, you can tell if it's a heavy indica, if it's really low in the nostrils, or a heavy sativa really high up in the bridge, and a hybrid anywhere in between. So there's a fun fact for you. So anyway, we really encourage people to smell the flower before they make any purchasing decisions, because I really feel that it has an effect on how it's going to react with the body. So that's why we never prepackage. So now this particular flower strain, the El Encanto one, we are going to prepackage because one of the biggest costs for us is our labor costs at the dispensary, because we spend so much time with our patients going over all the different flowers, letting them smell, letting them see them, answering a bunch of questions and helping them out. And we want to do that. We want to continue to do that. But at the same time, people that just want to come in and they just want that dollar medalla, we want to be able to get them and get them out as quick as possible and reduce that labor cost, because that's a huge overhead. Because if I have let's say, think of it like this. If I'm paying a bud tender $10 an hour and I have a patient coming in and they take up that bud tender's time for a half hour, it costs me $5 to make a sale of whatever they bought. Right? That's a huge cost factor that you have to take into play when any type of a retail sales where you're using employees is the labor cost that goes into the sale of a purchase. So when it's pre-packed and ready to go, it really reduces that labor cost, so that reduces the cost of the actual product that I have to sell in my margins. So my whole point is I'm trying to get these pre-packaged eighths down to a $20 eighth. I really want it to be $20 in and out the door. And what I think I'm able to do is, right now I'm able to do it. We're going to have these pre-packs done. I have the bags and the labeling already down. We're going to start pre-packing this week. And we're going to wholesale them at $15 and retail them at $20. The reason is because at a wholesale level, I really just can't get any lower right now. I want to get lower, but I just can't do it. It's just not feasible. So when we sell it to third-party dispensaries, it's like, look, we'll sell it out to them. It's like, look, the margins aren't huge on this one. You can sell it for 20, 25, and even at 25, it'll still do well. But to reach that $20 price point, they're just going to have to lower their margins. But at the same time, they get to reduce their labor costs. They don't have to spend the time weighing the bud out. They don't have to spend the money on the labeling. They don't spend the time or the money on the packaging and the packaging costs and the exit bags. It's already done. So we're already removing a lot of the costs out of the retailer as well. So that brand I think is going to do well. I pitched it to a lot of people, a couple dispensary owners down there, third-party people, just some other cannabis enthusiasts, some of my employees. I've just shown around, like, hey, this is the idea, whatever. Everyone hit, everyone loved it, everyone thinks it's going to be a great success, so we're moving forward with it. Now, on the other hand, the other one I did, which was the Royal Flush Cannabis, which was kind of going to be another prepackaged brand that I'm putting together of more of a medium. So it's going to be the tops colas or the mids of, like, top colas of our lower end strains, or mids of our high end strains, stuff, but also pre-packed as well to reduce that labor cost to get people in and out. I'm a big fan of it. I've been rocking it as the wallpaper of my phone and my laptop. Like, I really love the logo. To me, I thought it was great. People I showed up here in New York, everyone loved it. Other people I sent it to in California, they loved it. I took it down to Puerto Rico and started showing it to people, and they're like, oh, that's neat. And I was like, okay, maybe they're not really into it. Showed it to other people, and that's cool. But the reception I got was mediocre. It was meh across the board from everybody. So I was totally shocked. I did not expect that to happen. So that's why I'm glad I did that. That's a little bit of market research in the playing right there, because I never want to launch something just because me or my friends think it's a good idea. I want to know the people that are going to buy it. So I talked to dispensary owners. Would you buy this? I talked to our cannabis patients. Would you buy this? And if I'm not getting an overwhelming, oh, that's awesome, right off the bat, it's not going to win, because that means I have to push it onto people. And I don't want to push anything. I want people to see me like, I want that. I need that instantaneous, oh, wow. I need that wow factor. Like, I want that. I want to buy it right now. Give it to me. And it didn't do it. I didn't get it anywhere. So now I got to redesign that whole brand from scratch. It's kind of a bummer, but I'm going to, just kind of shelve it, because maybe I can pull that out in Vegas or New York or California or something later. So whatever. So that was kind of a bummer, because that one was my favorite one. But, hey, live and learn. But that's kind of the point of, doing these little tests. Doesn't take much time, but it's a huge cost savings. Imagine if I would have launched this thing and had labels and bagged and printed and distributed and then made flyers and handed this thing out and started promoting it, just to be a complete flop and no one really buy into it. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm trying to do this the right way, which is, ask people, even though it hurts and it's painful because I love it so much, but it's just not going to work. So I'm not going to do it. So those brands that brand, the Royal Flush, is going to be put on hold. I got to make a new one. I'm still going to use the same packaging. People like the packaging idea that I have. These solid black glass opaque child-proof containers that I found that are really good. They love that. So that part's going forward. I just got to come up with a new brand. That's what it was. It just didn't click. The people just didn't want it. So from Puerto Rico, I wound up flying up to Colorado. I was in Denver just for an overnight for two things. One is I have a client out there that we're doing testing for. My client is Thrive Growing. You can check them out at thrivegrowing.com. They are an aeroponic terrace garden technology company. They've developed a way to double yields in a 4x8 foot space, and it's pretty impressive. Like, I never would have believed it until I saw it myself. I mean, honestly, if you're not in the cannabis market space, this is going to be gibberish for you, so I apologize. But think of it like this. Pretty much all of the indoor growers grow in what are called flood tables, and they have a footprint of 4 feet by 8 feet long. And your typical flood table has 2 lights over top of it to grow the plants. Your average grower can grow between 2 to 2.5 pounds per light in a rip, which is, let's say, a 3-month period. Well, 2 months for bloom. Anyway, I'm not going to get into too much details, but so your average grower can do, let's just say, let's give a benefit of the doubt that they're doing 2.5 a light. So they're going to do 5 pounds in a 4x8 foot space for growing. So that's how they can determine, hey, how much, and then they, obviously everything sells by the pound, and pound weights go for different values based on each state to state, country to country. So with this terrace garden technology, we're able to come in and in a 4x8 foot spot, the exact same space, get up to almost 12 pounds in the same foot space. That's crazy. That's doubling an average yield. And these numbers were done by guys that have no idea how to grow cannabis. So we were brought in to help basically take it to the next level. They want us, my goal is I want to push this thing to 15. I want to triple a yield in a 4x8. And I never would have believed I would have seen it unless I saw it for myself. And now we're doing it. And it's amazing. It's really crazy. And one of the other things that they did is they had, they're really expensive lighting that they were using, way too expensive. Like, it was I want to say it was somewhere around $14,000 in lighting per 4x8 foot spot. Just absurd. No grower is ever going to spend that much money on lighting. So one of the first things we started tackling was the lighting issue, and we have that down. So we're doing a control. We have half using their lighting system and half using just regular HPS lights, double-ended, that we normally use, pretty much every grow system uses. So this way we can say, look, you can roll this right into your existing grow, and here's the yield. It might not be double, but it might be a 25 or 50% yield increase. Either way, it's still a huge increase just by changing the grow style, right? So we're testing that now, and the results they're coming out awesome. I posted a couple pictures on Instagram of what the terrace garden's doing, and they're growing great. Like, side by side, they're pretty much the same so far. We're really not going to know what's going to happen until the end of the bloom cycle, just because that's when they really start to put on the weight and, then testing and all that. But so far it's looking good. It's pretty exciting to see. Definitely. So I went to check on that. That was doing really well. Then also I brought my Road Warrior gaming system out there to talk to the hotel people. And of course I get out there and no one's available. No one's there. The people I'm supposed to meet with are sick. And it was a total clusterfuck. So I wound up just taking a bunch of photos of the unit in hotel, and I have to get back to their managers actually a little bit later this week, where I have a meeting to meet up with them. So that's again on hold, but that doesn't really matter because everything just shifted, because I just lost a major client on, when was that? Last Thursday. I got a phone call actually while I was in the grow saying, hey, I need to talk to you. Give me a call. So it's cool. Calling back. What's going on? Turns out it was a corporate client in my IT security company. Their head, it wasn't a chairman level person. It was a major insurance company, but someone very, very high up. Let's just say they spent $5 million in ways they're not supposed to, and that person is now gone. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on. So budgets have just been completely annihilated. People laid off like crazy. So the contract I was on, or not me specifically, but my guys were on, got canceled. So that just disappeared. So oh, shit. This huge source of income just evaporated in a fucking 2-minute phone call. Talk about brutal, right? I mean, that's a ton of money out of everyone's pockets instantly. It was an immediate termination of the contract, meaning not just me, but the entire project was canceled. So a whole bunch of consultants and a whole bunch of other people, employees, even lost their jobs. It was crazy, all because this one guy was doing some super shady shit. So that's really shitty. So I've been on hustle mode with my guys to try to get them placed in other places and spin up some new contracts. So it's just been nuts, 24/7, man. I wake up, I'm fucking trying to score these dudes gigs all the way up until no one returns my phone calls at 9 o'clock at night. And we got some good leads going on. Might be able to send a guy out to Chicago, maybe a dude down to Miami, and maybe another guy out to maybe here in New York even. So that'd be kind of cool. So trying to get it spun up as quick as possible, but hey, shit happens. And this kind of goes back to why, when I tell people never quit a job, everyone's got this whole company loyalty thing. I think is totally a load of shit, because that company will fuck you over in a heartbeat, on purpose or not on purpose. But you're the first one to fire. If you're a consultant, you're the first one they're going to let go, because they have no ties to you and no liability, and they can sever a contract with you. They don't have to pay you severance packages or anything. And it happens all the time. You think your project is going great, and then all of a sudden, and we've just decided we don't want to do it anymore because it's Thursday, and boom, instantly your 6-month project got turned into a 1.5-month project or something, So they do not have loyalty to you. So therefore, you should not have loyalty to them. And what I mean, I'm not saying loyalty like you shouldn't do your best for the client and treat them like gold, because you should. What I'm saying is you come first. You have to be very, very dickish in the sense that you need to put yourself first above your client, in a sense of what's the right thing to do. Like, if you have to ditch your client because you have another thing, like if you had 2 clients pitching you at the same time and one of them's great and the other one's great, but one of them's just like, they're going to pay you more money, fuck it, take the one's going to pay you more money. Or if you think it's more of a solid contractor, it's probably even more important, take that one. Because you know what, those people, those companies, they will fuck you over in a heartbeat. And it's not the people you're working with, it's the higher ups that don't even know you exist. You're just a number on an Excel sheet. So fuck that shit. Look out for number one. While you have the contract, you treat them like gold. Obviously, you do everything you can. You bend over backwards to do whatever you can. But when it comes down to it, remember, you are your own responsibility, and they will not give a fuck about terminating you. Even if you're a full-time employee, that company, whoever you work for right now, think about what company you work for, and you're like, oh wow, no, they love me. I'm important. They can't fire me. I have job security. Load of shit. They can fire you fucking tomorrow. And you know what? They'll have someone in replacing you real fucking fast. So just keep that in mind. I always try to tell people that, because it happens. It sucks when it does, and it's brutal in the contract business, but that's why you get paid the higher rates, is because you're taking those added on risks and things. So something to think of there. So yeah, when I was out in Colorado, I got that phone call, so it's just been a clusterfuck. So when I flew out of Denver, I was flying out of Denver through Minneapolis and then back to New York, and holy shit, that was a shit cluster of a flight. So cold. Flights were being delayed as that winter polar vortex weather, I don't know, clickbait title thing going on. So it was fun, but it was January 31st, and I have a shit ton of drink vouchers through Delta, and just because of the medallion status, you get like a bunch of free drink vouchers. And I really don't drink on planes too much anymore, just because I'm already dehydrated and I'm not looking to get shit-faced to go visit a client. You know what I mean? I'm not going on vacation to party, so I'm not really in a drinking mode. But this time I was like, fuck it, they all expired today. I got like 13 free drink vouchers on 2 flights on my way home, so I was like, okay, line them up. So I just started using all my vouchers for everyone around me, just like, hey, who wants a free drink? So I'm just buying drinks for everyone on all my flights all the way around. I still have like a whole bunch left too. But yeah, so that was an entertaining flight. Finally got home, just passed out. And then over the weekend, I took the weekend really just to spend time with my family, because whenever I travel for a few days, I really like to then make up for it and really spend more time with my kids and my family, and just going out and do more fun stuff and not really working on the weekends as much, because it's my family's important, my kids are important, so I really want to spend time with them and make sure they know they have a dad. that's always important. Another fun thing is I have a couple of my contractors that work for me that I put on gigs. They're cannabis friendly enthusiasts. One of them lives out in California where it's recreational, but in my line of work we have to take drug tests. So this dude that's out in California, he smokes all the time because it's legal and it's totally fine for him. But even though it's legal, jobs still make people take drug tests. And if you fail, even for weed, even if it's legal in that state, they won't hire you. So what do? Well, I can tell you what I do. I passed every single drug test I've ever taken in my life. All of them. I take a lot. I probably take about 1 to 2 drug tests a year on average. I always pass every single time. And I have a lot of my friends and a lot of my consultants and whatever, they always ask me like, hey, dude, what do you do? Why do you take those those cleanses, or do you do like the fake pee things? There's so much weird shit out there, right? And everyone gives me their secret recipes, and I'm like, no, that's one very simple solution on how to pass a drug test for your job. You ready? Don't do drugs. That's it. Don't do drugs, and you will pass your drug test. It's that simple. So hey, if you need to look for a job and you're looking for a job and you know you're going to have to take a drug test, guess what? Stop doing drugs. Sober your life up, get your shit together, and honestly, you shouldn't be doing drugs. You shouldn't be drinking. If you're looking for a job, you should be out there fucking sober as a fucking, I don't know, fucking Swedish nun or something. I don't know if they're sober or not, but they should be. I guess they might drink. Who knows? But anyway, just don't do drugs. You'll pass the drug test. Generally, it takes 10 days to 14 days to flush out your system from weed. Coke, I think, only lasts a couple days. I don't do coke. I'm not a personal fan. But all their stuff, I don't know. I did have to take a follicle test, though, once. That scared the shit out of me. Because at that time, I had really long hair. And I was actually an employee at the time. I remember going to my boss, who was the president of the company. I'm like, hey, they want me to take a strand test. I'm just telling you, I've done a lot of shit while I've had this hair. And he just laughed. He's like, "No worry, bro." He's like, "If you bum it, we'll back you up. They'll hire you anyway." Okay, cool. I wound up passing it anyway, so I don't know what the hell they were doing or how it works, but obviously I passed, so that was good. So the next thing is I have a really cool opportunity coming up down in the Caribbean. There's another island down there that's looking to go medical, and a buddy of mine was approached to help consult with them to write the regulations and try to guide them, kind of help them out with questions and things like that and getting a medical program set up on their island. So he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, you did it for Puerto Rico. Can you help me here?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this." Because something that's that exciting, I'm all about it. So we're spinning that up. We have a meeting later this week to go over some details about how we're going to do things. But it's pretty cool. I love things like that. It's just like out of nowhere. We're just hanging out, just shooting the shit. He's like, "Oh, you know what? I got a phone call the other day from the Prime Minister of blah, blah, blah. And he wants to spin up a medical thing. And I know you've done that down in PR and you got experience. Can you help me out? Let's do this shit." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." That's how that happened. Crazy, right? Just by hanging out. Because he called me and said, "Hey, let's meet up, on Wednesday and let's go for some drinks." Okay, cool. Next thing you know, this conversation spun up. So we'll see what happens with that. Who knows? Whatever. Excuse me while I take a refreshing sip of my beverage. Oh, so good. So I haven't even eaten these Girl Scout cookies. I figure you don't want to hear me talk with a mouthful of Girl Scout cookies, but they're so good. That's one of those things. When Girl Scout cookies come out, I buy so many of them. I was talking to my girlfriend the other day about this. So, Girl Scout cookies, these Girl Scouts, they're fucking geniuses. Think about this for a second. Everybody in the fucking world knows about Girl Scout cookies, and everyone loses their shit over them. I buy, when Girl Scout things come out, I probably buy about 20 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, maybe more even. Like this time I bought 20 boxes from my nanny's sister's daughter, because that was the first person that hit me up. So, first person wins. They get the majority of my business. But then it turns out my girlfriend's brother's daughter, so her niece, is a Girl Scout. So we went on Saturday to go to her support the troops thing or whatever it is. And so I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to buy more Girl Scout cookies. Bought more. And then we were walking into the store the other day and there's some girls out there. "Oh, I'm selling Girl Scout cookies." Like, fuck yeah. Here's $10. Give me a couple boxes of Girl Scout cookies. So, one, they're awesome. They're delicious. And I love them. And I'll save them and store them so that I can eat them over the next period of time. But also, it's, you're helping out these little entrepreneurs is what they're doing. Honestly, they're being used and it's a load of shit the way that they do it. They should teach them a little bit better and give them a cut, honestly, right? Like, fuck that. But it's borderline slave labor. I remember doing that shit in school. Like, "Oh, magazine sales, go door to door and sell magazines, and your school gets money, and you get a fucking eraser." And you thought that was hot shit. I remember doing candy sales as a kid, going door to door, selling Morley's candy. We were selling all this shit, and it was always like to see who could get the most and which class could get the most. And in the end, you end up getting like 2 pencils and a fucking, I don't know, a ruler or some shit, and you're all fucking stoked. Like, yeah. It's like, dude, you sold $200 worth of shit, and you got a fucking pencil. In the school, I think they make something like, $10. Like, what a fucking scam. But what they should be doing, they're teaching, they have the potential to teach amazing, life-changing skills to these little kids, and they're totally missing the opportunity. You should be teaching these kids about entrepreneurship and about sales and how to sell and what the psychological aspects of it are. And, building rapport with these people in the streets and how to, upsell and stuff. And there's all kinds of skills that they could be teaching these kids that they're not. They're just going, "Nope, just go make us money." Fucking lame. Anyway, I don't want to get too far off. But But one of the things that always gets me is I see these girls out there selling cookies, you know, and I know it's going to help them, and you know, they're always happy. So it's like, look, these girls are out there. It's freezing fucking cold. They're selling Girl Scout cookies. I'm going to drop them $20 just to get some cookies, whether I want them or not. I remember last year I bought. There was this one girl. She was out there selling, and when I was going into the grocery store, you know, she kept saying, "Hey, does anyone want cookies?" And everyone kept blowing her off, not even get her any attention. As I was leaving, again, same thing, and she still had all the same amount of boxes of cookies on her table. Like, she hadn't sold a single box of cookies. And she was getting all depressed and bummed, and her mom's sitting there trying to tell her, "No, it's okay, you know, not everyone wants them, you know, you can't force them," and this and that. So I was like, fuck this. So I went over, I was like, "Hey, how much are your cookies?" You know, I was like, I don't remember how much, you know, it didn't really matter. She said, "Okay, cool." I'm like, "Look, here's $100. I put down a $100 bill." And I was like, "I want a box of Thin Mints, and I want a box of these peanut butter things." And she's like, "Oh, well, you get these?" I was like, "Nope, they're all yours." I'm like, "Just keep hustling." And I turned around and walked away. Because you know what? It's like, constant defeat sucks, but it's, you know, it's like these kids, they're just kids trying to make a buck, man. It's like, they're being leveraged the wrong way, but, you know, I feel bad for them. So anyway, back to why the Girl Scouts are fucking geniuses. One, they got a whole child slave labor union going on that they can control, which somehow is legal. I'm not really sure how that works. But, so yeah, you instantly feel guilty and spend way too much money on Girl Scout cookies than you would ever buy. You would never, I mean, think about it. Would you ever go out and be like, "Oh yeah, oh, Oreos? Sweet. Give me 3 boxes of Oreos and 4 boxes of double stuffs and 2 boxes of the vanilla ones." Like, fuck no, you're just gonna go to the store and buy them and whatever you want. But they only come out once a year. So these mystic cookies, and they're so delicious, so you eat them up. So everyone swarms to buy these cookies. I was so excited when the order sheet goes, "Oh, Girl Scout cookies!" They're even named Girl Scout cookie weed after Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints, Dosey-Dos. Those things exist for a reason. That's where they come from, right? They're just leveraging off of the marketing. But yeah, so think about this. Have you ever seen one advertisement anywhere for Girl Scout cookies? I haven't. I haven't seen a single ad saying, "Support your local Girl Scouts, buy Thin Mints." Never. These people have a niche that's so amazingly self-propagating that they don't have to advertise, and they have people swarming and begging and fighting for these things. That's insane. That's some shit we really need to look into and model our own businesses after, because they're fucking killing it. And they're not spending a dime on advertising. They're not spending a dime on labor because they have kids doing it for free so they can make $20 for a troop or something. I don't know what the hell they get on. I know. I guarantee you, it's not. They're not getting near enough as what they should for doing all of the work. And they're doing. And then so they can place the order and they send one shit into the troop and then they have to disseminate them out to the people ordering too. It's like, dude, oh my god, such a racket. Anyway, so real quick, so let's take off here in a couple minutes. I'm gonna go pick up my daughter from school. But I've been using this accounting software called FreshBooks Online. I've been using it for years. It's been good enough for just some little stuff I do, but man, it sucks now. It's horrible. I'm finally moving away from QuickBooks and just hiring an accountant to do everything because I can't fucking do it anymore. And this shit sucks. So don't use FreshBooks. If you ever seen an ad for it or you hear about it, it fucking sucks. Stay away from it. It's fucking everything up and making my life miserable. So there's an anti-ad for FreshBooks. On the other hand, one thing I am starting to learn, that's, you know, I posted a thing on Instagram as well, is I'm starting to get AWS certified. AWS is Amazon Web Services. They do, it's like the servers in the cloud for those that aren't IT savvy people. It's just every time you hear something about something in the cloud, most of the time it's Amazon. Sometimes it's Azure, which is Microsoft's platform. But Amazon Cloud market space is huge. Huge. The stuff that they have is insane. I've been working with their systems for years now. A little over 10, I'd say close to 10 years maybe. And I haven't been paying too close attention. I've only been using it for stuff I need, just servers and storage and maybe some DNS and database stuff here and there. But when I started looking into the certification shit, holy shit, do they have a lot of services. It's amazing what they can do right now. They have a service called Amazon Recognition, and it's spelled weird, but I'm sure Google will fix it. Amazon's gonna buy Google. Watch this shit. That'd be fucking intense, right? Anyway, so Amazon's got this thing. So it's an API where you can stream, you can send photos or videos to them, and you can stream it to them too. And in real time, it will detect faces, things, like atmospheres, like, "No, I know this is a beach," you know, stuff like that. We can also do tracking of people. It will find people, say person 1 through 6 that's in this video as it's moving around, and you say, "I want to follow person 2." It will follow person 2. Unless the person 2 goes behind the wall and then comes on the other side, it will actually track them behind the wall, so it knows, like, kind of using some smart shit where this person is, even when they're not seen. Fucking crazy. These are all the service APIs that anybody can leverage. So think about that for a second. So anyone that has video in an Amazon account, which is anyone, they're free to set up. You just pay for the services that you need them. So anyone that wants to right now can stream video to Amazon and instantly do facial recognition and person tracking. How many of you have Nest cams? How many of you have seen security cameras outside? How many of you have seen a video camera on your computer that's easily hackable? How many people have you seen cameras fucking everywhere? That shit is so easily tracked to see what you're doing. It's insane. And this just made it even easier. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, I see that the Amazon Cloud certification stuff I see a lot of requests coming up for it. It's super hot right now. So I'm getting myself and some of my guys certified on it. So starting out with the Amazon Cloud Practitioner certification. For those that are also interested in this kind of stuff, Amazon, you go to their site at aws.training, and it shows you like some videos that help, you know, the training videos that they have. Those videos are borderline useless. They don't tell you near as much info. I would say it's a good introduction. It gives you maybe 25% of the information you need to actually pass these tests. So you really got to dig in and do research and study or buy some testings online. I bought some sample tests on Udemy so I can actually see it before I actually go take the certifications, what the questions are, like, so I know what I'm looking for. So I found out about how, Amazon, all you gotta do is watch these videos. Load of shit. So what I thought was going to be a 5-hour training session to get the first certification was turning into a 5-day training session of real hardcore studying, learning, like I'm back in college again. Like, this is some intense shit. You have to know really, really fine, detailed stuff. So that's good though, because something like that keeps a good high barrier of entry, which means a lot of people are going to be lazy, they're going to quit or fail because they're dumb. Yeah, that's my alarm to go pick up my daughter. So yeah, my daughter said this morning when she was going to school, she's like, "Can you pick me up from school today?" So yes, the answer is yes. Why? Because I work for myself, and I work for myself so I can do things like that. It's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, and all everyone out there's got 9 to 5. You say, "Hey, I need to go pick up my kid from school." Yeah, that's just not a thing. I can do whatever I want. So if you don't make the time to do the little things, like that's the whole reason most of us get, you know, decide to work for ourselves in the first place, is that we want to have the free time when we want. We work more, we work a lot more, we work a lot harder, we take a lot more risks, and life is way more volatile. But we do it for things like this, so that when your daughter looks at you in the morning and says, "Can you pick me up from school?" you can say, "Yep, I'll be there." So I'm gonna take off, guys. It was awesome, fun to get back talking with you. I'm Adam from Art of the Hustler. You can visit us at artofthehustler.com. I'm on YouTube, iTunes for the podcast. You can download it there. Google Play, and I'm trying to get it on Spotify. So I'm a big Spotify fan. That's it. Keep on hustling, guys. See you around. Peace.